Welcome to Walk in the Oyster Kingdom, exploring the oyster farming industry of Budai fishing port. Are you interested to learn more about how the oyster farming industry operates in Budai fishing port? We'll uncover the secrets behind the oyster farms in this episode. Let's watch the episode and get a close look at the oyster farming industry of Budai fishing port. To make sure you'll be following the episode, I have 4 multiple-choice questions and 1 open-ended question for you. Take it easy, the answers are all right in the episode. Next, I'll guide you through the 3 stages of oyster harvesting. You'll pick up English words and phrases along the way. You'll also pick up more words and expressions about oyster farming and learn about 5 traditional industries in Taiwan apart from oyster farming. At the end of the lesson, you'll take a quiz and recall what you have learned. So after you complete the lesson, you will develop a deeper understanding of the operations of Budai fishing port and the oyster farming industry while learning English words that are related to oyster farming and Taiwan's traditional industries. I hope these terms will come in handy when you share about Chiayi's aquaculture industry with your foreign friends or discuss other traditional industries in Taiwan. Without further ado, let's get started. The upcoming video will introduce Budai fishing port in Chiayi, Taiwan, and provide a brief explanation of the 3 stages of oyster harvesting, along with some interesting facts about oysters. You must be so excited. Before we start the lesson, let's first have a look at the 4 multiple-choice questions and 1 open-ended question. Question 1. Why do most vessels in Budai fishing port have a curved shape? A. To adapt to the rapid water currents in Budai fishing port. B. To adapt to shallow water areas. C. To conserve oyster farming areas. D. To increase the speed of vessel navigation. Question 2. Each oyster farm shown in the video has branches or colored markers attached. What is the purpose of these different markers? A. To distinguish oysters from different regions ranging from south to north. B. To differentiate oysters of varying levels of maturity. C. To indicate different oyster farmers. D. To help oyster farmers identify oysters grown at different seawater depths. Question 3. Regarding oyster farming methods and timelines, which of the following was not mentioned in the video? A. During oyster harvesting, one hand holds the oyster while the other cuts the rope before pulling the oyster to the surface. B. Oyster spat are typically released after October. C. Oysters can usually be harvested starting from June. D. During harvesting, oysters must be allowed to float to the water surface before being collected. Question 4. Regarding the second stage of oyster spat cleaning, which of the following statements is correct? A. Only oysters from the northern region undergo cleaning in this area. B. The ropes suspending oyster spat are manually removed. C. Machines assist in breaking the ropes over which oyster spat are attached. D. This step is fully automated and doesn't require manual assistance. open-ended question. The video depicts the many steps from cultivation to harvesting of oysters. Among these, what interests you most? Why? The first 4 multiple-choice questions help everyone to better understand what the episode presented. The final open-ended question is given to ensure that all of you integrate what you've learned and are able to express yourself clearly in English. The intention behind these questions is not to give you a hard time. The questions are designed to ensure that everyone grasps the key points of the episode. While watching the episode, look out for the prompts on the screen and answer every pop-up question. Take it easy. I'm sure you can answer those questions thoroughly and correctly. Now, let's play the video.
Grab it out of the water, cut the rope. Hey! 不用动啊！哎呀，那个不能在上面的，你要在下面搞啊！ So we just left 珠湾渔港 and we're on our way to Budai. 已经开始有很多 trap. 现在完蛋了，怎么办？
有一艘小船来了是吧？
哦，跟着他吗？
我跟着他。
对。
We're in the old port of Budai here, and you'll see around us are only R-style boats, or sampans. And the reason for that is that we're going to a very shallow part of the ocean where they harvest these oysters. We're very lucky today to have Hongge show us this process. Step 1 in this part of the aquaculture, where they actually grow the oysters. And when we came in the other day by boat, you saw all the oyster beds. That's what we're gonna go see right now.
Have you heard the answer? Let's go back to the question. Question 1. Why do most vessels in Budai fishing port have a curved shape? A. To adapt to the rapid water currents in Budai fishing port. B. To adapt to shallow water areas. C. To conserve oyster farming areas. D. To increase the speed of vessel navigation. The first question was pretty easy, just an icebreaker. Did everyone answer it correctly? That's right. The correct answer is B, to adapt to shallow water areas. As depicted in this video, oysters are typically cultivated in shallow water areas. To adapt to these shallow water areas, most vessels are designed with a curved shape. If you want to describe the water in that area as being shallow, Leo used the adjective shallow, indicating lower water levels. For example, the river's water was shallow enough for the children to wade across without any difficulty. Did you get it right? Let's continue back to the video.
In Budai, about 60% of the population is involved in the oyster harvesting business, and another 10 or 20% are in related business, like shucking oysters, fixing boats. So this is really a major industry in this part of Taiwan. And this is really where a lot of the oysters you eat are grown, because the water is clear and the oysters from this part of Taiwan are the best. So I'd like to introduce Hongge to you. He's going to show us his oyster beds. He is the oyster king of Budai. He's got about 50 of those oyster bamboo structures where they grow the oysters, and he also buys and sells a lot of oysters. 那洪哥，你是做那个行业已经多久？
从父亲开始已经做了57年。
哇，是你爸爸开始做了。
对。
那现在你儿子也做。
对，那现在交由第3代
OK
去经营。
OK， 养那个，哇，这是全年都可以做了，是不是？
是，全年度的话哈，要从比较南部的海域，从台南一直收成，布袋、东石，然后到云林，到彰化，一路从南往北收成，那就全年度都有鹅啊。
你这数字都是给雷达看得到，是不是？
做记号，每一个养殖户他做记号。
所以要一直要数是一个人的，那个才是的是别人的。
那又是一个人的。
OK，
那又是一个人的。
OK。There are at least 2,000 or 3,000 of these floating pods. That's why it's so difficult to get into the harbor, especially when it's raining and dark.
Have you heard the answer? Let's go back to the question. Question 2. Each oyster farm shown in the video has branches or colored markers attached. What is the purpose of these different markers? A. To distinguish oysters from different regions ranging from south to north. B. To differentiate oysters of varying levels of maturity. C. To indicate different oyster farmers. D. To help oyster farmers identify oysters grown at different seawater depths. I hope everyone still remembers what the response was when he asked the oyster farmers about the markers. Yes, the answer is C, to indicate different oyster farmers. As mentioned in the video, given that there are at least 2,000 to 3,000 oyster farms in the area, it's difficult to distinguish among oyster farms. So they use branches or attach markers of different colors to make distinctions. It's clear at a glance and prevents misunderstandings. It's not related to different regions, seawater depths, or oyster maturity. Now, there's a phrase describing one that distinguishes something from others. You can say make a mark when you create a visible sign on something to distinguish it from others. For example, I made a mark on the oyster bed to distinguish it from others. Did you get it right? Let's keep watching.
快到了，是不是？
快到了，哎，快到了。
这里的深度是多少？
大概1.5米至2米左右。
OK。
来，豪哥，跟你说明一下怎么去采收这个鹅啊。那个，我请我儿子示范给你看。
OK， 好。
好。
这样子，右手先抓住，左手割绳子，
再拉上去，
拉上去，左手割绳子，
这样 OK。
左手拉起来，好，这个把它割断。好。厉害，
不错。洪哥，你儿子现在是开始做那个生意，是不是？
是的，他从大学毕业以后，他就有兴趣，也能够吃苦，所以他就把这个事业承接起来。
OK， 那儿子过来一下，
目前都是
介绍一下，
他在主导整个事情。
OK， 那个很辛苦，你怎么会想做这个工作？
这个行业如果没有人接，很可惜这样子。
那时候我的儿子还在高中，因为他阿公阿嬷自己2个人在做，真的是太辛苦了，因为这个是劳力工作啦，所以他寒暑假都会回外公外婆家帮忙，就一直从高中1年级一直帮到大学毕业退伍了以后，他才正式来承接这个行业。年轻人他会去创新，他会去思考，在网络上没有人去贩卖这些传统的一些农产品，所以他大概在15年前，
那他自己想出来这样做，
对，他自己想出来，在15年前他就试图的去建构自己的网络。
那你的比例在网上买的是多少？
目前大概一半。
哦，这真的还不错啊。那个我是什么时候开始放在水里？怎么是开始拿出来？
大概10月过后开始放苗。 大概端午节过后，6月开始收成这样子。
So I want to see if I can get a job. So I'm going to do a couple more to see if these can be done more efficiently. Grab it out of the water, cut the rope. Hey, 力气太大。OK， 再来一次。OK， 好。There it is, about 1.5 meters long. I would say it weighs about 5公斤、7公斤啊。
差不多。
那它怎么会长这样的？
分开就是说要让它有生长环境。
They will actually use the old oyster and tie it onto the rope in spaces, and that will form the basis for the new oysters growing. 那挺谢谢你。
不会，
我现在再多一点了解那个怎么。好，谢谢。Okay, thank you so much. Go to step 2.
Have you heard the answer? Let's go back to the question. Question 3. Regarding oyster farming methods and timelines, which of the following was not mentioned in the video? A. During oyster harvesting, one hand holds the oyster while the other cuts the rope before pulling the oyster to the surface. B. Oyster spat are typically released after October. C. Oysters can usually be harvested starting from June. D. During harvesting, oysters must be allowed to float to the water surface before being collected. This question might require more careful consideration. Did everyone get it right? The answer to this question is D. During harvesting, oysters must be allowed to float to the water surface before being collected. The video does not depict that oysters must float to the water surface before being harvested. Instead, after oyster spat are released in October, they are harvested around June of the following year, roughly after the Dragon Boat Festival. The method of harvesting oysters can be seen in the video when the oyster farmer shows the host how to do it. They first grab the rope with one hand, then cut the rope with the other hand, and finally pull the oyster to the water surface. Did you get it right? The video is quite interesting, isn't it? Let's keep watching.
This is the second stage of the oyster harvesting process, the cleaning. And in this stage, oysters are coming from all over Taiwan. They're taken off the truck here where they've been collected on the strings in a circle, and they're dumped into these machines here where they're separated into single oysters. And also the string they're growing on is removed. And then they're washed, and then they're taken to the third stage, which is the shucking. It's not an easy job. These guys work 8 till 6 every day. It's hard on the back. It's long hours. It's not an easy job. Remember that when you eat your oyster.
Have you heard the answer? Let's go back to the question. Question 4. Regarding the second stage of oyster spat cleaning, which of the following statements is correct? A. Only oysters from the northern region undergo cleaning in this area. B. The ropes suspending oyster spat are manually removed. C. Machines assist in breaking the ropes over which oyster spat are attached. D. This step is fully automated and doesn't require manual assistance. Has everyone fully understood the information about the oyster cleaning stage? The correct answer is C. Machines assist in breaking the ropes over which oyster spat are attached. In the episode, Leo mentioned that the oyster cleaning facility receives oysters from all over Taiwan, not just from the northern Taiwan. The ropes are broken by machines, not removed manually. The entire cleaning process involves a combination of machinery and manual labor, where machines help break the ropes and transport baskets filled with oysters, while workers help with throwing oysters from the baskets into the machines. Have you grasped the key points of this segment? I believe you surely have. Let's continue watching the rest of the video.
Now for phase 3 of the oyster harvesting, where they shuck them. This is opening the oysters and taking the meat out. We have Hongge's wife is going to introduce this part of the process, and it's typical in many of the things we do in Taiwan. These are family-run businesses. Hong Tai.
嗨，你好。
你好，你好。
嗨，你好。
你们这里有多少个人帮忙？
总共大约有20几个人。
一个人一天可以捕多少克？
大约有的40几斤，有的50几斤都有。嘿，对。
那我也听说，恒哥的妈妈还在这里播客。
在那边，在那边。
他几岁啊？
他已经80几岁了。哇！来，你先起来。
你好，你很厉害。
这家姐当了了，现在这个道路了。
那他还是每一天上班呢？
你打工拢来家吗？
没了。
不会痛吗？手指不会痛啊？
手骨会痛呗？
没了。
没了。
他说不会。
不会啊，很厉害。
之前跟我爸爸每天早上都4点多就出海，除了是台风天，
就是已经把它拉出来了。
对，他就跟我爸爸2个就是传统的方式，好就把它拉起来，然后他以前是传统，他就这样子一直敲这个鹅啊，把它敲成这样，让我们去剥。就没有机器做？没有。那你可以帮我剥一下，我看你1分钟能剥多少个？你坐咧剥鹅啊，来哈，好，开始。它这里分小的跟大的，是不是？对，分小的跟大的。价钱不一样啊。小的是夜市那个鹅啊煎打他们要用的，嘿。我还是很厉害。20秒。太紧张了，慢慢来，没有关系的。好，1分钟大概7克。还是蛮不错，非常好，谢谢你。你讲甲你说多声。I'm always impressed to see these kind of family enterprises have the young people, like the 3rd generation, and also the older people still involved. I think there's no reason for her to really be doing this other than she's done it for so many years and she still feels like she has to contribute. And that's really the touching thing about these family businesses in Taiwan. And it's particularly great to see that we also have the 3rd generation continuing this tradition. 好来哦，我出示也来5、4、3。卡哇伊。
As I promised, we have to go to Budai Fishing Harbor. We were in the yacht harbor. It's important for us to go to every fishing harbor, so that's where we're gonna go now. It's just a short trip. It's right next to it. You can see it, and we're gonna go to the fishing harbor and dock there. Now we're in the real Budai Harbor. The old harbor where we left this morning, which is actually next to it, but this is called Budai Third Fishing Harbor, which is where the bigger fishing boats are. But it's really still very shallow, only 2.5 meters. I'm just looking for a place to dock. 我们靠这边呢。不用动啊，屁！哎呀，那个不能在上面了，你要在下面搞啊！哇，有很多东西还要走。哇 ，too much，too much。好，来。再 wrap around 就可以了。We finally made it, Budai Fishing Harbor. This harbor has a long history and used to be called Budai Kao, which is like the mouth of a bag, like those little bumps you see in there, because there used to be a lot of lagoons out there where they're now raising the oysters. The harbors here have a long history. Its proximity to Xiamen, China, being in the center of Taiwan, has made it a major trading port. In the early days, it was salt from the salt flat. Later on, during the Japanese occupation, there was sugar. I'm very glad to be here. This is a Class 2 fishing harbor. You can see there are some fishing boats here. We finally made it to Budai Harbor, our first stop on the official trip around all the Taiwan harbors. So that's about it for Budai Harbor. I'm going to dock the boat, and please join us for the next leg of the adventure.
Congratulations on watching the video and completing the first 4 multiple choice questions. Give yourself a round of applause. By answering these questions, you've gained a deeper understanding of the oyster farming industry in Budai Fishing Port. Next, there's an open-ended question waiting for you. It helps you to comprehensively review the knowledge you've acquired and see if you've learned to express it more effectively. The video depicts the many steps from cultivation to harvesting of oysters. Among these, what interests you most? Why? Got any thoughts? If not, that's okay. I have a list of words that you might use to come up with the answer. Hopefully, these words and phrases can give you some inspiration. You can pause the video and figure out how to use these words. It's great if you've been answering the questions in front of the screen. It is very helpful to speak out loud. If you haven't figured out how to answer it, no worries. I'll provide an example answer for your reference. I want to experience shucking oysters at this stage because it is a very challenging task, where I have to shuck each one of them using a knife. Congratulations on completing all the questions. Do you feel like you've gained a better understanding of the oyster farming industry and the history of Budai Fishing Port? It seems like you are now more confident in expressing your travel experiences in English. Next, I'll recap the content of the documentary. First, we'll review the geographical details of Budai Fishing Port mentioned at the end of the lesson, as well as the 3 stages of oyster harvesting. We'll also learn 5 English words related to the oyster farming industry, as well as the English names and brief introductions of 5 traditional industries in Taiwan. So, keep following me as we step further into the sea of knowledge. Next, let's review the geographical locations related to Budai Fishing Port. Feel free to press the pause button at any point to recall the English words or replay the video. The locations of Budai Fishing Port in Chiayi are arranged in a circular manner from left to right. Yacht Dock, Third Fishing Port, Second Fishing Port, and First Fishing Port. Yacht Dock. Let's all say it together. Yacht Dock. A yacht dock is designed for private yachts and leisure boats, providing facilities such as docks, berths, security, maintenance, and including social and recreational amenities like restaurants, shops, and clubs to meet the needs of yacht owners. If you want to use yacht dock in a sentence, you could say, we're planning to visit the yacht dock at Budai Fishing Port to enjoy the refreshing sea breeze and the stunning ocean views. Feel free to give it a try and use yacht dock in a sentence. Budai First Fishing Port. Next up, the First Fishing Port is the largest and primary commercial fishing port in Budai Fishing Port. It accommodates large fishing vessels and serves as a vital hub for the local fishing industry. Visitors can enjoy the lovely sight of fishing boats coming and going from the port and have the opportunity to savor fresh seafood delicacies. If you like to use port in a sentence, for example, the Budai First Fishing Port is a bustling hub for commercial fishing activities where numerous fishing boats dock to unload their catches and contribute to the local seafood industry. Budai Second Fishing Port. Moving on, the second fishing port primarily focuses on leisure and tourism. It features colorful painted fishing boats and fishing nets, creating a vibrant maritime atmosphere. Visitors can take a stroll along the pier, appreciate the unique scenery of the fishing port, and enjoy various culinary delights in nearby shops and restaurants. If you want to introduce Budai Second Fishing Port to foreigners as a famous place to visit, you can use the phrase "be famous for." For example, Budai Second Fishing Port is famous for its tourism. Feel free to think about how to use "be famous for" in your own sentence. Budai Third Fishing Port. Lastly, the third fishing port offers fishing and sea fishing activities. You can experience the joy of fishing within certain designated areas in the serene coastal environment. If you want to invite foreign friends to enjoy the fishing experience at Budai Third Fishing Port, you can use the following sentence structure. We'd like to invite you to. For example, we'd like to invite you to join us at Budai Third Fishing Port for a delightful fishing experience by the tranquil seashore. Next time you want to invite someone to do something, try using this sentence structure. Feel free to press the pause button to create sentences or practice pronouncing English words anytime. Let's review the relative locations of Budai Fishing Port one more time. Please repeat after me. Yacht Dock, Budai Third Fishing Port, Budai Second Fishing Port, Budai First Fishing Port. Next, let's review the 3 stages of oyster harvesting depicted in the video. Here's a summary of the 3 oyster harvesting stages for you. First stage, harvesting. Second stage, cleaning. Third stage, shucking. First stage, harvesting. The host mentioned that visiting an oyster bed is the first step in understanding the oyster farming industry, while bed is commonly associated with a sleeping surface. It can also mean a base or foundation. For example, many special fishes live on the seabed. If you want to use oyster bed in a sentence, you could say, the oyster bed along the shore provides a thriving habitat for various marine creatures, contributing to the local ecosystem's health. Second stage, cleaning. The second step in oyster harvesting is cleaning. In the video, you can see that cleaning the oysters not only requires the assistance of machines, but also manual labor to pour out the oysters. This can be physically demanding and challenging. That's why Leo mentioned in the video that it's important to maintain a sense of gratitude when eating oysters. To express gratitude in English, you can use the phrase being grateful to somebody for something. For example, being grateful to her friends and family for the support, she decided to give back to the community by volunteering at a local shelter. I recommend pausing the video and trying to create a sentence using this phrase. Third stage, shocking. The final step in oyster harvesting is, of course, shocking. In the video, you can see that each oyster is manually shocked using a small knife. Shock means to remove the outer layer or shell from something. For example, he skillfully shocked the oyster, revealing the plump and succulent flesh inside. Sure thing, let's review. First stage, harvesting. Second stage, cleaning. Third stage, shocking. In addition to the aforementioned English words related to cultivating oysters, I have also prepared 5 advanced words for everyone. Feel free to follow along with me and pronounce the following words. Oyster spat, spat collection, aquaculture, mariculture, harvesting. Oyster spat. Firstly, oyster spat means oyster seeds. Oyster spat are the young form of oysters. As depicted in the video, oyster spat are released starting in October, which is a crucial step in oyster farming and marks the beginning of their cultivation into mature oysters. Here's an example sentence. Oyster spat are the tiny juvenile oysters that attach themselves to surfaces to grow. Spat collection. Secondly, spat collection refers to the process of gathering oyster seeds. Collection is a noun, and the corresponding verb is collect. Let's say it together. Spat collection involves gathering oyster seeds from their natural environment, usually for subsequent oyster farming activities. Here's an example sentence. The local fishermen participate in spat collection each year to ensure a sustainable oyster population. The third and fourth terms are aquaculture and mariculture respectively. The distinction between them lies in the fact that aquaculture broadly refers to the cultivation of aquatic organisms, while mariculture specifically pertains to the cultivation of marine organisms, emphasizing their growth in oceanic environments. Aquaculture, where aqua refers to water, involves the cultivation and rearing of aquatic organisms such as fish, shrimp, and mollusks in aquatic environments. This practice serves to supply food, propagate seeds, and produce other products. For example, you could say the aquaculture industry plays a crucial role in providing seafood to meet the growing global demand. In contrast, mariculture utilizes the root mari, meaning ocean, making it a form of aquaculture that takes place in marine environment. It encompasses the cultivation and management of marine life forms, including fish, shellfish, and seaweed within oceanic settings. For instance, mariculture involves the cultivation of marine organisms such as fish, shellfish, and seaweed in oceanic environments. Harvesting. The last term, harvesting, refers to the act of gathering crops and products, including seafood, from a cultivation environment. In this episode, harvesting refers to collecting aquatic products such as oysters, fish, and shrimp to meet market demand. For example, farmers were busy harvesting their crops before the onset of the rainy season. Remember, you can always take a moment to pause and practice the English words and phrases we've discussed. Let's review the 5 English words related to cultivating oysters. Oyster spat, spat collection, aquaculture, mariculture, harvesting. After picking up these English words, you can further explore more traditional industries in Taiwan beyond aquaculture. Here are 5 traditional industries for you to learn: tea industry, ceramics industry, textiles and garment industry, wood carving and bamboo art industry, embroidery industry. Today's lesson has come to an end, and I'm sure many of you feel a bit reluctant to say goodbye, right? Before we wrap up, I'd like to ask you a question. In the video, it was mentioned how traditional oyster farming has been combined with modern internet platforms to increase exposure. What other methods do you think could connect traditional industries with modern society? Take it easy, use what you've learned from this lesson, and give a short answer. Have you learned a lot at the end of this lesson? I also want to share a piece of news with you. At the end of the video, there's a quiz for you to do so that you can review what you've learned from the video. So don't forget to do the quiz after watching the video. Happy studying! Bye!